Okay, so in this video we'll be looking at kind of basic introduction to Revit and to start modeling the energy house based on your own sketch. In order to do that, I have made you a file you can open. You should download it from It's Learning. You'll find it in the ICT folder. Basically what you do is you download it, you press open, and then you locate it on your hard drive where you saved it to. You can see mine is here. It's called Energy House. I just press it here, open, and we get into the program. This is kind of like the introductory page. Just gives a brief introduction to the different things, very brief, but I'll just quickly run through what we're looking for here and how the file is set up. Basically, when we get into Revit, we have kind of like the main functions up here, and there's a more thorough walkthrough of it in a different video. We have our properties here, and that's the properties of the different elements that's selected. We have our browser here that allows us to navigate the projects, and that's basically what you need to know at this stage. So down here we can see I have 3 floor plans, and that's 3 views. I have a ground floor terrain. I press that. I get into the ground floor terrain. I have the first floor and roof. And you can see as soon as I open one, and I open by double clicking, they open up here as well. Remember, the more views you have open, the slower your computer gets. It's not a huge issue on the project you're working with now, but on larger projects it can become an issue. Of course these are empty because I haven't drawn anything. Then the elevation, and I have east, north, south and west. And basically we can see I have 3 levels. These 3 levels correspond with the floor plans up here. So each level here defines a floor plan. So ground floor is here. So when I draw in ground floor, it's on this level and upwards, usually. If it's first floor drawing, it's on this level and upwards. And if it's on roof, it's on this level and upwards. So let's have a look at how to model and how to start doing it. I suggest that you start in your ground floor because it makes sense to start from the bottom. So I go to ground floor, and the first thing you have to do is, of course, look at the sketch you're doing. The procedure we are doing here, or I'll be doing, is first drawing walls, maybe putting in doors and windows, showing how to do that. Then I'll draw the decks. That means that the floor, the ground floor, and the floor on the first floor. And then I'll draw the roof. That's the basic 3 steps. I know there's stairs in the house. You will have to just drop drawing them. Drawing stairs in here is a bit complicated, and there's no reason to start doing that. We can do that with some lines at a later stage. So let's start with the walls. Walls, in general, the modeling tools are found under architecture. I press wall here, and down here I can select the wall. You don't know what's actually in the walls, at least not right now. So what we're looking for here is what we call the generic walls. And a generic wall is basically just a wall where we have the extension. We have no idea what's actually in the wall. That's what we're using. So I'll take a generic 400. And then I can start to control some things. Up here I have my a line of functions. First of all, I'm drawing the wall as a height. So it goes from the ground floor and upwards, just as I showed in the elevation before. I have something here called unconnected. That means how far up is it going. Like I said, it starts on the ground floor. If I pick first floor, then it goes from the level we saw in the elevation, ground floor, and attaches itself as a top to the first floor. If I take roof, it goes up to roof. If I take unconnected, then it is just a height, and in this case it will be 3250. So that's the basics of it. And I'll just, in this case, let's say we are going to, I'll make it to first floor. Then I have something called location line. That basically determines where we need or how we draw the wall. What we'll be doing here is we'll use the one called finish face exterior. Let's have a look at what it does. Just zoom in a bit, and then when you start to draw, north is upwards, south is downwards, west is to the left, and east is to the right. That's the basics. So I'll usually start in top left corner, move around. I can see here I can write the length. So you look at your sketch now and see what's the length of the northern facade. And on your keyboard, you can type the length. I'll just type 10,000 here. Not because I can remember it's 10,000, but it seems like a reasonable number in this case. Then I just continue dragging downwards here, and I can see there's a like this blue dashed line on top. That's an extension line, and that shows me that right now I'm dragging in a perpendicular angle to the original one. And I can also see on my angle over there, it's actually perpendicular. And I think it's probably the same length as the other one, so I'll type 10 again. And 10. And notice that the extension lines, those blue dashed lines, they are on the outside of the wall. That's the finished face exterior. And notice I'm drawing clockwise direction for my drawing. I always, when I draw external walls and basically when I close spaces, I draw in a clockwise direction. Always, because that makes sure that my wall is oriented in the right direction. So I press here, and I press here. Now I've drawn the outline of my building. Very simple. Of course, when you do this, make sure you use your measurements, the ones you have from your drawing, to make that work. Let's have a look at what it looks like in 3D. There we go. That is my 4 walls. That's the look in 3D. And when I hover around, when I scroll around the building, I hold Shift down, right click on my mouse, and then I just navigate around it. So that was first floor. For now, I'll just leave them like this. And I think I actually might put in windows and doors later on in this project. We'll just do a very simple one in the beginning. So this is the procedure for external walls, and we'll keep the external walls at this level at the moment. And then I'll just draw the internal walls for the building in the ground floor as well. The procedure is similar. Of course, you look at your drawing. So I press architecture, wall. Again, find a generic wall. One on the right thickness. Yeah, 150 will make it here. And then again, you look at your drawing. Again, I take height. I take up to first floor. And then when I do the internal walls, I use wall center line. And notice when I drag it here, I can remember what it looks like. Remember, we have a kitchen down here. I'll drag upwards. You can see now the extension line is in the center of the wall. I'll just drag it up here. Yeah, then we have, as far as I remember, space going over there. We have a room here. And as far as I remember, we also had the entrance something like this. This is a very rough sketch. Of course, you have to look at your sketch and make it fit. And make sure that when you actually do this, draw a wall, type in the dimension. That makes your life a bit easier. If you do something wrong, you have to move it. You press the element here and you write in this temporary dimension the actual distance. Then you can always move your things around. And remember that when you do this, it's the selected element you're moving. It's a very important thing to remember. So this is kind of step one. And this is the first step you have to make. Start by drawing all the walls in the first floor and use that as the basis. So this was kind of the end of the first video. And from there, we'll move on to draw floors and draw roofs. And then in the end, we'll put in the doors and windows.